Hello there and welcome to the second video. In this one, we're going to create the add record part of our system. So here in my system, I've got a button there called add record. I want to populate this information into a record and store it in my file. So if I just double click add record, I've created an event there, private sub btn add record underscore click. So the first thing I need to do is again create a pointer to the record. And I'll say dim one product as product type. After this is the point where you would do any validation that you wanted to on those 5 boxes. And if all of the boxes are valid, so you might do presence checks, length checks, format checks, etc. If they're all valid, then you would populate your structure. And like I said before in the first video, oneProduct.product ID is going to get us access to that field in the record structure, and I've got txt product, which is the name of my text box on my form, and that will pass the text from the txt product ID text box into the record itself. And like I said before, you will only do this if the validation has been passed. So there's my one product description, txt description dot text. One product dot price, I think, was the next one, and txt price dot text goes in there. One product dot quantity in stock is given the value of txt quantity in stock dot text. And the last one, not to be caught out here, is a combo box. So cbo reorder level dot text. Okay. Now the combo box has already been populated with information. So if you click on the combo box there, little arrow, these edit items, I've got 10, 50, 100 and 200. They're the minimum reorder levels. So excellent. So there we go, populate the 5 things in there. Now if I wanted to go ahead and put these in a file, remember our 3 steps. So step 1, open the file. Now John being lazy, I will just go up here and take line 37 and pop it back down there. So that's opening the file with the right file name in random mode to the right record length. Once I've done that, step 2 is something we've not seen before, something called file put. And file put has a number of different parameters. It has 3 that we're going to use here. Number 1, you might remember this from before, is the channel number that I'm going to use. Then, one product is the record I want to put into my file. And finally, the last thing is the location. Which record number position do you want to put it in there at? So, number of records would put it in at 3, because I've got 3 records in my file. However, if I put it in 3, it will overwrite the last thing in there. So I want to do 3 plus 1. So it'll put it in the 4th position. And what this means is we are actually appending the record to the end of my file. And they do this in serial file handling, don't they? So this is appending going on here, which is perfectly fine at this stage of my program. So what I'll do is I'll just comment on what those parameters are. Again, channel, parameter 2 is the record pointer, and parameter 3 record location. After we've done that, don't forget to close the file. I would say file close. Channel number goes in there, and that's done. Okay, now I'm happy with that. However, at this stage, I think I can run this, confidently say we'll add this to my number of records. So I've got 3 records in total. If I put in there houseplant, oh, that's not the product ID. So description will be houseplant, product ID is 123, price $12.99 for this houseplant. I've got 100 of those plants and my reorder level is 50. If I click the button add record, absolutely nothing happens. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just look at my file, just double check what's going on. And you'll notice I've got stuff, another thing, monkey puzzle, and now houseplant has appeared. So it's actually been added to my file, but my system hasn't cleared the boxes or updated the products in file. Okay, little bit more to do then, everybody. So after we've done that, we need to increment the number of records. So number of records equals number of records plus 1. Now that is such an important step, because if I don't do that, it will always add it in at the position of 4. So I need to add 1 every time. So the next thing that I add in should go in position 5. It should go in position 6, then 7, then 8, and keep going. From there, I might as well output the number of records. And that's to my box again. So if you remember what that's called, it's called txt display products in file dot text is given the value of number of records. So now, once I've done that, if I just quickly run this again, it does say 4 at the minute. If I add another quick product in, price £2.50. It's just a plant, this one, number in stock 20, reorder level is 10, and add record. So you notice now it changes, very good. However, these boxes are still annoying me, so let's fix those. So what I'll do is I will clear those boxes. So I'll write txt product ID.clear. Okay, and with the power of editing magic, I'll quickly have this done in no time. And there we go. So I've cleared the boxes and I've reset the combo box to 50, and I've even focused the cursor back in the txt products ID text box. Excellent. Now this might come in handy a little bit later on. So if I want to be crafty about these things, what I'll do is I'll just create a little private sub, I think. Private sub. So it's a little procedure that will do this for me in the future, because I think I'm going to need this again. So there you go. I've created a little sub procedure for myself, and I'll just copy this code out here and I'll put it in this little box, and then all I need to do is call that container. Okay, remember, a procedure is an action. This action is to reset my boxes, and there we go. It'll run that, it'll jump to this line here, and it'll run all this code and finish and jump back, end the sub and continue. Well, that's wonderful, isn't it? We can now add things into the program. However, it would be great if we could actually display. So what I'm going to do is this list products box, I'm going to double click and I'm going to use this load event, this click event to display to the list box. Now in order to do that, I've got to think about this a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through my file, and for every record in my file, I'm going to display it on the line. So in order to do that, for each record tells me I'm going to need a loop. So I know how many records I have in my file. That's stored in number of records, isn't it? I'm going to have an index to allow me to keep track of which position I'm in, or I'm at, should I say. Again, we need another pointer. So you might say, why are we not declaring this globally? We want to try our best to stay away from globals if we can. It's good practice to keep things local. There's my pointer. And it's always beneficial to clear the list box. Always beneficial to clear the list box first, because we don't want things adding in there miscellaneously. So listbox lst display file is my name of my listbox. Dot items dot clear will clear all the items from the list box itself. And then we want to open the file again, don't we? Okay. So I thought I had it copied and pasted, but I thought I didn't. I'll take that line again. It's the same line that keeps cropping up. And there we go. So I open the file in random mode. And what I want to say now is for each record in the file. So for each record in the file, what do I want to do? For index equals 1. And that's because files start at 1, they don't start at 0. Like we didn't have enough to think about. And what I'll do is I'll loop up to the number of records. So I know I now have 5 records. So this will iterate 5 times. I need to get the record itself. So here's another one for you. File get. Okay, file get. I'm going to use 2 parameters. The first one being the channel and the second one being the record itself. So when you get from a file, it will go down channel 1, it will take out the record and it will put it inside product 1. And it will do this in order if I'm using a for loop like this. And then I want to look at the display of this. Okay? So the display gets a little bit tricky because I'm using the string format that I declared all the way up at the top of my code. I'm using this strange looking thing. So let's have a look how we do that. So my display is going to say list display file dot items dot add. That's the standard way to add into a list box. Then I'm going to say string dot format. Okay, that gets it ready to take in a certain format. The format I've created is called my format. After that, all I need to do now is I need to list my fields from the records. So here we are. One product dot product ID goes in there. After that, I've got one product dot description. After the description, I have my price. Now, I could just say one product dot price, but you and I both know that the price needs to be formatted in some kind of currency format. So format bracket one product price comma speech mark currency. That'll display it with a pound symbol to 2 decimal places. After I've done my price, I've got one product dot quantity in stock followed by one product dot reorder level. Okay, I'm just looking if it's going to shout at me. It is going to shout at me. I'm missing a bracket. I think, yes I am. So that's a very long line that. However, you'll see what impact that makes in just a second. So feel free to pause at this point, go back, have a look, write out the code, try it. And then I've got next there. And don't forget, we've done step 1. Step 2 is doing the loop. And step 3 is closing the file, isn't it? File close, channel 1. Okay. Clear the list, open the file, loop through it, get each product and stick it into the LST display file. Then I close it. Let me just run this to see what happens. 5 things in there. Click the list products. And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 5 things in total. That looks good to me. And I've got some information over there. Now what I can do, I mean, you don't know what these are, do you? It's hard to tell what they are. So at this point, what I could do is I could take the entire line there. See if we can pull this off. Put it just under the clear of the list box. And then because it's already formatted, what I will do is I'll take out all of these things. And from there, if I get this right, what I can do is I can say the first thing is the ID, isn't it? Followed by the description, followed by the price, followed by the quantity, and finally, let's call it call it Rio. Why not? And let's see what happens then. We're using the same string format as we did before. There it is. List the products. And now we've got nice headers above these things, which is a little bit easier. Okay. Now this last one's cut off. I think it's because I've not got enough text there. And try again. There we go, a little bit better. Still cut off. We need to do a little bit of adjustment with this list box, but I'm pretty happy with the output there. So how can I actually implement something into the data grid view on the same button? Now what I would do is look at the steps that I went through before. First thing I did was I cleared the list box itself. So I need to also clear the data grid view. And I'll abbreviate data grid view for DGV. So I'll do that by stating what the name of the data grid view is. So it's called data grid view 1, and I'm going to say dot rows dot clear, bracket bracket. So that will clear the entire data grid view for us. After that, we need to open the file. We've already done that. We loop through, we populate each record in there. All I need to do here then is just say me, which means I'm still on the same form, data grid view 1 dot rows dot add, and I'll put in there things like the one product ID, the description, the format of the currency, all the way down to the reorder level. All of the fields from my record go inside the add brackets. There we are. And let's have a look at that. See what that does. List the products. And that looks good to me. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things in there still. And we've got a couple of different options in here. So we can actually change these values, and we can also add in, that last row there is for us to add in new ones. You might not want that on your program. So in order to get rid of that, the data grid view itself comes with a number of options, and they are available on this little arrow here. I can stop people from adding, I can stop them from editing, and I can stop them from deleting straight in there. I'll run this again, see what difference that's made. There you go, and I can't edit things anymore, and the bottom line has disappeared. What I can do is I can still sort by just clicking the top here. But what that doesn't mean is that you don't have to implement a sorting algorithm of some kind. Sorry. So that looks good. That looks like a good point to me to stop there and just reevaluate what's gone on. So all I've done there is I've just added a record into the file, updated a few things, cleared some boxes, created a procedure, and I've managed to display on a button. A fairly successful part of the video. Okay, I'll see you in the next one, where we'll look a little bit more into the data grid view, and we might even do some of the find product and find record functions. I'll see you there.